write about. Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist. Am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs through the phone, dreaming of a better home, while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the brujas let this last. I don't know if the earth is painted.
That was great sounds. Watts with Outside on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, EZ Blues is in the building. Easy Blues, you're better with introductions more than me. Who do we have with us today on Behind the Brand?
I have a question. What made Superman Superman? Seriously, what gave him the power to be Superman? What was it? Was it the fact that he was an alien? No. Was it the sun? No. The sun powered the most incredible human being in the entire existence? There's no way. That can't be. There's no way. That's not what a Green Deal is about, right? Well, you're wrong. See, every day we get to wake up and we get to look at this really nuclear explosion that goes above our head. And it has so much power that we could literally run our entire globe off of it. But, until we can learn how to market it the proper way and make sure the corporations can make all that money off of it, we're never, ever, 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 ever going to use it properly. But today, we have someone who, in the pre-interview, really is a ray of light and has a wonderful, wonderful perspective on how to see things. So he is the sun for at least this next 50 minutes as we will revolve around him. I want you to put your hands together, not if you're driving. If you're driving, please keep your hands at 10 and 2 for the awesome, the amazing, the absolutely incredible. I love him like a brother, and I've only known him for about 32 seconds. James Blanks Jr.
Nice.
Hello. How are you?
Great job, brother. I'm doing spectacular, man.
See, this is what's really interesting is what I have noticed. For those who don't know what in the world I'm talking about, you are someone who came up through the sales aspect of it. You've done direct sales, which for some people, direct sales is literally going down a block, in a suit on a super hot day, knocking on doors and saying what you have is not what you deserve. And that is something that severely you have to really manage your attitude and you have to manage your mindset. In doing that, you can really, it can heal you and it can drive you crazy. And you have to start going to appointments like I'm going to now. I actually just got back from one. Ta-da! But what's really, really amazing is you have been able to make a career out of it. I've known a lot of salespeople that burn out super, 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 super fast, but you've been able to grow.
Yeah.
How has that been possible? And also, let's talk about your business a little bit.
Yeah. That's been possible because this entire road has been paved by what I was before this, which, Preston is somewhat aware of, is I spent many, many years with no direction, addicted to drugs. And I learned a lot of hard lessons at the rock bottom that I lived at. And all of those lessons one day dawned on me that if I just started doing the opposite of everything that had gotten me nowhere, then I would get everywhere. And so in 2016, this very small family-owned private company, Trinity Solar, took a chance on me. Nobody judged me. Nobody threw me out or fired me. All they said were positive, encouraging things to me to push me in the right direction. And it gave me time to heal. And one day it dawned on me that this was my last opportunity in this lifetime before something really bad was going to happen to me. And so I needed to make the most of it. So I went and got clean. I went to a program, an outpatient program, and I started working on that at the same time that I started knocking doors. The door-to-door industry is a 2% population. It is a very special, coveted place. And it's not to build salespeople. It's to build people. And that is what I've used it for. It's built my abundant mindset, my discipline, my ability to overcome, my ability to look at it and look at, what somebody would say is an obstacle and I see a speed bump. It's giving me the ability to only seek solutions, right? And I don't focus on problems, I focus on the solutions, right? So all of those things came from my past life. And then I've just deployed the same tactics. I mean, let's be honest. Drug addicts are some of the best salespeople in the world. Show me somebody else who wakes up every day without a job, has no money, and has money every day, and I'll show you a really amazing sales rep. Now, unfortunately, it's being used in the wrong arena, right? It's actually not being used for positivity, right? And so I took all those skills and I brought them into this arena and I utilize them. And I'm actually the anti of the thing that you described in the beginning, which is I am not a salesperson. I am not dressed up in fancy clothes. When I deal with people as a human being, and I bear soul to them. I create relationships and connections. So the sales guy that goes up against me is going to get destroyed. It means he doesn't have a chance because he's trying to sell stuff and I'm trying to create relationships, if that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense. And just a couple things that I wanted to kind of unpack off of that, because you made some incredible points there. One, I actually had a creative writing teacher back in the college days when I wanted to go back and argue with professors because I thought I was smarter than everybody else. I had a creative writing teacher who literally the first day of class was like, all right, who here has ever lost somebody important to them? And some of us raised our hands, some of us didn't. And he goes, okay, now everybody who didn't raise your hands, you're all virgins. Because until you know great loss, you can't know great love. And that's really what is happening here is because of that perspective change, because you understood that what you went through before helped build you for what you are today, is amazing. And this is a story that goes back to goes super far back to forever. But for current pop culture, you can see this story with Jay-Z. Jay-Z took, his street hustle and he took that to the mainstream record aspect of it. And because of how good he was, just because they tell you what you're doing is illegal does not mean the skills you are learning from it cannot translate through. I've met some of the best criminals in the world that are now some of the best business people I've ever met in my entire life, because they understand, they hold on to that hunger. They know what it's like to be starving. When we lose the ability to know what it's like to be starving, we lose the ability to grow. Complacency equals death. I talk about it all the time. So I wanted to thank you for that. Also wanted to thank you for how open and honest you are with sharing your story, because I know that there's somebody right now who's either driving or listening at home or going to watch this on the Book of Face, and they're going to be like, oh, wow, this dude was able to push forward. And this is not in the spectrum of life. You're talking about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
That's that's a first grader.
I spent 17 years in that world of never knowing if you were going to be around tomorrow, around dangerous people in dangerous places. And it was a very, very valuable life lesson. And so when you were talking about in the beginning, what's your superpower? My superpower is I bear my soul. And I utilize that as a connection, because there's a very important thing. 65% of an equation, whether you're doing a TED talk or something like this, in order to get people to actually want to listen to what you're saying, you must make an emotional connection with them. Right? If you can't make an emotional connection, you rely on facts, data, or your trophies or whatever it is. That only takes you so far. That doesn't connect the wires with everybody. But when you can bear your soul and your scars right to somebody, and I do this in every home with every person I do business with, I instantly go from solar sales guy to James, a human being. And now they let their guard down. And now we're actually dealing as people instead of dealing as a sales transaction. Right. And that is the key difference between being a salesperson and being somebody that is out there to create relationships, because relationships are how you make money. It's not actually off transactions.
And just so people know, you don't build these relationships to make money. You build these relationships to be truly authentically yourself.
Right.
And by doing that, you're actually accomplishing what everybody in this world really wants to accomplish, and it's finding out what you're good at and being able to be fiscally responsible with what you're good at. So, in no way are you doing this to manipulate the system, although you could. I mean, we can use our superpowers for evil,
Right.
but now you're using these superpowers for the good aspect of it. And what, besides obviously them giving you a chance, but what just cried out for solar for you? Because especially in these past couple of years, there's been a real negative connotation, only because it is pushing back against the big super corporations.
Yeah.
That solar is not only a viable option, but seems to be the option we need to head in.
Yeah. So the messaging from both sides is tainted based off of both sides' agendas. This is just my opinion, to be clear. This is not Trinity Solar's opinion, right?
Right.
Of course.
Only his opinion.
Yeah. And I even wrote a letter to the president and to the White House about the messaging for this, which is we need to utilize renewable energy right now today so that we can continue to use non-renewable resources tomorrow. The goal of renewable energy is not to take money or jobs away from gas, coal, and oil. It's to extend gas, coal, and oil. It's to create a better tomorrow. We are putting up power stations to support the infrastructure so that everybody can continue to have a job. So whether it's one side of the aisle pushing, take away everything that's not this and make it all renewable, that's just honestly not real.
Right.
And then the other side trying to stop it from happening because the other side's pitching it as all or nothing is not a good approach, right? And so my job every single day is to focus on what I can focus on, which is the human beings in the households that I need to put money back into. I honestly don't care what they do in Washington or what the agendas are. My agenda is, and when you just said it, I don't go into people's houses to make money off them. It's written on my shirt on the order that I do things, okay? And so I always do things in two arenas, genuinely and savvy. It's genuine when I sit down in the fact that I want to help this family. I want to put money back in this household. I want to create a better tomorrow. But I know that if I do, I will make money for my family.
Mm-hmm.
They are connected together, but this one is infinitely more important because this follows the first part of the process, the genuine part of the process. The problem with solar salespeople, okay, is they go to somebody's house to sell solar to make money off of them. I go to somebody's house to help them because I don't need to sell solar because I'm the number one rep in this state. I don't need something. I want to help you. Right. And so the mindset that I have is trained to my people, and the same tactic that we deploy that makes us the number one installer here, which is going out for people, not for money. Does that make sense?
No, it makes total sense. And we appreciate that. P, you got something you want to field off here?
Oh, none of them want to peel it off. He kind of like answered like three of my questions. So he's that.
Oh, sorry.
It's a different James that I met when I was with him in broadcasting school. This is a complete 180. He was always in the back to himself. So this amount of energy is a completely different human being and a completely different individual. Now, just back to your training. Let's just take the DeLorean back. How difficult was you just to get out your shell, just to break out that character? Because you were going through so much. You were learning just to build yourself into this new position in life. And also, you were just trying to develop a new you. Well, not really a new you, just an updated you, a better version of yourself.
Yeah. In the basement, sitting next to my demons, in that situation, I never didn't believe in myself. I always knew I was better than where I was at that moment, which is why I am today. Because everything starts with believing in something and focusing on it. So I always knew that I could be better than what I was. And so the training for that came from the school of hard knocks, which is Easy's gonna like, which you go out there and you knock and you get destroyed.
Yeah.
You learn, you fail forward. right? Now learning to get, how did I come out of it and get clean? That is just all depends on there's not one person on this planet that's gotten clean because somebody else made them to.
No.
Right.
I was sent to, rehabs, I don't know, 7 times, 10 times. I can't even count. Want to know how many times I did drugs? 11.
Right.
Okay. Why? Because somebody else wanted me to get clean. But the day that I decided that I was done, there's no AA, there's no meetings, there's no nothing. I decided it was over because of the circle that I had surrounded myself with. You will become the sum whole parts of the people that circle around you. And that's your solar system, if you will. And the planets that around it will either embolden you or they will poison you. And that's just literally what it is. And so was it hard? Yes, extremely hard. I had to balance being physically ill, because even though I was getting medicine and working through it, it still was not a comfortable process, right? At the same time I'm doing this, I become the first field marketing manager and first field marketing rep ever in Connecticut history for Trinity Solar. Now I have to balance trying to build something while I'm trying to build myself, but it actually turned out to be that I needed that because they actually started building each other at the same time, right? The failing forward. You show me somebody that wins and I'll show you somebody that fails more than everybody else. That's simple.
No, yeah, and that's actually something that we've talked about on the show a million times. There's a couple times that Prestige and I have been interviewed outside of this, where they're like, "What advice do you have for everyone?" I'm like, fail often and fail huge, and laugh at it, because if not, it's going to eat you alive. And it is that failing forward aspect that is so incredible, because then it doesn't matter. I remember first getting into door-to-door sales, and I was selling a concept. I wasn't even selling something that was really helping people. I was selling the opportunity to get a discount at a restaurant you never went to. Let's be real. All right. And then I realized I was just taking money from old people that just needed someone to hang out with for a little while, and I felt bad about myself. But in that type of situation, I mean, I had a shotgun pulled on me. I had some dude who thought, and I was in the suit, I had some dude who thought I was picking up for the person that he owed money to. And I was like, "No, dude, I'm here for Pizza Hut. Do you like pizza?" So all those different type of things. And these are the things that continue to move forward. But it's in that type of field training. It's in that type of reality where you start to really develop who you are. And it is not for everyone. Not for everyone at all. If you get skitsed out by someone, if you can't outrun a dog, you might not want to be in this industry. In that type of aspect where you're going in door to door, there's other spots where you can be and all that kind of stuff. So I never forestalled another person's hustle. But as you were going and as you were building this up, and I love how you also pointed out that no one gets clean because other people want them to, because that is one of the hugest things out there. Dude, you are muted, sir. B, muted.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now on WNHLP
I can hear you now.
103.5 FM New Haven? My good friend James is with us again on Behind the Brand. Let's go easy. Technology is messing with us. Internet messes. Keep on going as we fail forward on Behind the Brand. Go ahead.
See, this is the perfect example of that failing forward aspect. But I also love how the fact that you did point out that no one gets clean on their own. No one gets clean on their own, but also no one gets clean because someone else wanted them to. Everyone who knows my story understands that. I've seen it on many different points of view, whether it be my mother or my little brother. And it's heartbreaking, but it's understandable. As people continue to grow and be there, how can the people around in that community, in that solar system that you were talking about, how can they better help somebody? Not because they want them to get clean, but they just want them to see the best version of themselves.
Yeah, that's
Can you give that type of advice?
Absolutely.
Every once in a while. I'm like a broken clock.
No. There's a couple people in my life where I literally be in a pine box if it wasn't for them.
Right.
My mother did every stage of when you deal with somebody that you love is a drug addict, right? Give them money, enable them, every phase. the best thing she ever did for me was come down into that basement, look me dead in my face, and say, listen to me very carefully. I love you, but I'm not doing this anymore. Okay. In 5 weeks, I already sold this condo. In 5 weeks, you're leaving here. Okay. I'm not giving you money anymore. I don't love you any less, but I can't do this for you anymore. You have to figure your life out. And fun fact, and my mom won't like this part, but she said, if you take that job at Trinity Solar, knocking on doors for performance-based pay, you're going to be living in the back of your car. And I said, that's okay, Mom. We want to know why? Because that sounds like a hotel to me, because I used to sleep on the ground. So if I don't bet on myself now, I'm never going to get where I want to get to, because nothing's ever gotten me where I want to get to. I've worked every 9-to-5 job, construction, Sikorsky, all these places. It never served my spirit or my soul. And I'm the type of person, I can't do things that I don't believe in. It saps everything that I am, right? And then the other person in my life was my wife today, who I had met on Facebook. She lived in Morocco at the time, and she never judged me. And she would be on Zoom calls with me and, chatting with me. And when I was alone in the basement, those two people were there for me, and they bided me enough time to get me into the environment at Trinity, where I then ended up with my partners today, Gabe and Jay and Kevin, who, if I pivot in any direction, you'll hear the same exact story from a different story on what they were dealing with. And we were able to all come together and believe in each other. And that belief in that small circle is the same circle I live in today. And we went from knocking doors at the bottom of this company till we now are the disciples that help deliver every single day for this company, and we help shape where this company's going as partners. So the best thing sometimes your family can do for you is take every enablement away from you and make you realize that this literally has to stop. And then somebody else, like my wife, was just like, she didn't judge me, she didn't say anything negative, didn't say anything positive, just talk to me. So let me just, heard me as a human. Because at that time, when you're isolated like I was, you're feeling super alone. And your only friend is the devil and that needle. Yep. You don't have anywhere else to turn. So just having that outlet of somebody to just be able to let you talk to them, and having somebody else in your family who's given you everything, like your mother, finally say, that's enough. And my mom said to me, I don't care what you did wrong. I don't care what you stole. I don't care about anything. None of it. Okay. All I want you to do is make something out of your life, and you'll erase everything in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And so today I've erased all of that. And that's what I use as a superpower. I have no problem with saying the things I've done wrong, because the things I've done wrong have led to a pathway of everything I've done right. And then it's led to a pathway that's allowed me to hire other people so that they can have that same thing. So now the impact that I have on a day-to-day basis is going to be stacked up in books when my life is over versus the things that I did wrong.
And I love how you actually made that point, because that is super huge right there. The difference between someone who, and again, I'll say this is merely my opinion. And if you have a problem with my opinion, feel free to send that hate mail to Prestige, because I don't care. The difference is for you now, in the addict aspect of it, that controlled who you were. And now, you're not there because in spite of it, you're using it as that fuel. You're in control of it. You're in control of that story. And that is so super important. When you went back, and it really comes down to finding that love for yourself. You always had the confidence, but you never truly loved yourself. What made you fall back in love with the person that you are? And also, I'm very mad at Prestige, because why is this the first time you and I are meeting? I feel like we could have been doing some things. We could have been saving the world, man.
It's never too late.
So it's always at the right time, my friends.
Right place, right time.
There we go. There you go. He's got more cliches than I do. It's gorgeous.
So repeat the last sentence that you said so that I can properly.
Okay. I have to remember. Not the one where I was calling out Prestige for not introducing ourselves. How did you fall in love with yourself? How did you teach yourself to love yourself? Because this is really what it comes down to. We can let our failures rule our lives, or we can rule our failures.
Yeah.
And the way we rule our failures is loving ourselves enough. And
Yeah.
how did you do that?
I learned a concept called extreme ownership, which is extremely freeing. And then I also learned that to operate on the level that I am now, you can't care what most of our lives are based on what other people think about us, what other people say about us, what other people feel about us. Until you realize that none of that makes any difference, and literally you're with you and you are responsible for what you think about you and what you feel about you. If you saw me at the beach, I'm a 43-year-old ex-drug addict. I'm chubby. There's nothing special about me if you see me at face value. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I literally don't care. Like, I go to the beach and take my shirt off like I'm a bodybuilder. I've never been better between these, 7-10 inches right here. Like, I just don't care. I love myself because I know that if I don't love myself, I can't love anybody else. I can't love my daughter. I can't love my wife. I can't love my mom. If you don't put your mask on first, I'm not talking about your COVID mask. It's the same concept that they teach you on an airplane. If you can't put your mask on first and care about yourself first and love yourself first, you will burn out of oxygen faster than you can think of. You'll never help anybody, or you'll never impact anybody, right? So once I took extreme ownership and I own my stuff, it's actually relevant to when you watch 8 Mile and Eminem, when he goes up on the stage and he makes fun of himself, he owns who he is, which takes all the weapons away from everybody else. And it left the other person disarmed because that was his approach. His approach was going to be to shoot the things at Eminem that he is. Eminem says, I am all those things. What's up?
Right.
It's over. You got nothing. Right. So once I took extreme ownership and I started downloading those things, that really all it comes down to is, if you don't love yourself, you can't love anybody else, care about anybody else, or do anything positive in this world. I started to make sure that I shifted my mindset to extreme ownership. There's a meme that I have, and I have a lot of them, and I can send them to you guys, that I use on a daily basis. If you remember Scooby-Doo, when he goes and he pulls the mask off the other person, it's always the professor, this person. When in life, when you go to pull the mask off off that thing that you think is bothering you, I got news for you. It's you.
Right.
And when you pull the mask off that person that you want to be your solution, it's not anybody else. It's also you. Everything that you want out of this world, or that's happening to you or for you, is literally in the mirror. It's all coming from you and how you perceive things and then how you handle them.
And I just wanted to hit some clarification real quick. When you were talking about the mask, you're talking about the oxygen mask to take care of yourself, not like me, the mask I throw on to deal with the rest of society, because apparently that's also wrong. That's what I've been told. I've been doing it wrong this whole time. But it's so super true. And I really, I love the passion in which you speak. And I do hope that this is going to be an interview that people are going to go back and listen to over and over and over again. I look forward to your next adventure as you do go through, because you do have a very great mindset. Are you going to venture into those, like, I don't know, are you doing like a self-help TikTok, or, kind of, write maybe a book? Your experience is one that is needed. Your story is one that's needed to be told. And of course, we appreciate you coming on our show and telling your story. Yeah. But I think, the more that you work and the more that you push forward, there are more people that you could reach by taking it into a different avenue. Of course, that is going to start to pull a little bit from every other aspect, and it's going to bring you down a little bit. But is that something you're looking to, or is that something that you're going to wait until the next evolution?
It's not something that I'm not looking to. Right now, I'm extremely hyper-focused on our people and our growth here. My own personal entrepreneurship and business adventures that I'm going to do. I do this on a daily basis at every turn. Whether you see me on Facebook, I bare my soul on Facebook. I write it on Facebook. When I talked to Preston about doing this, I called him and we had a conversation. I said, I just want to make sure that we focus on the most important part of all of this, which is, if you're a drug addict and you watch this or you hear this, listen to me very carefully. Okay. You are not what you tell yourself. You are not what everybody else tells yourself, and you don't have to recover into mediocrity. Okay.
Woo!
You have a very coveted skill set. You're just using it in the wrong arena. And if you want to change your life, you have all the tools necessary to do so. And all you have to do is choose so. It's that simple. We're overthinking it. Okay. I did this. Now, to be fair, let me be very clear. And I always am very honest about this too. Jesus Christ sits next to me. Has never left me. And the reason that I'm successful today is because when I was in that basement with the devil sitting next to me, Jesus Christ sat next to me in love and never judging me. And I never felt any farther away from grace than I am at this moment. And so that is the key tool that I use to get clean, is because that's why I always believed in myself, because I knew that he knew that I was better than where I was at that moment. And when you have that, and I don't believe in Jesus Christ or have faith. Let me be very clear. I know for a fact, and I'm living proof that it is real. And you are welcome to believe in whatever you want to.
Yeah, word.
Right? This is my own personal belief. You're welcome to believe in whatever you want. Okay? But in the end, you have to believe in you. Okay? And if you don't believe in you, then you can never accomplish anything. You cannot let other people know. Nobody's coming to save us. I promise you. Okay. Nobody's going to change your life for you. Nobody's going to get you clean. Right. And I learned this as I went to the clinic. Right. First I'm going there as a full blown drug addict. And as I get clean, right, I start looking at these things in a different direction. And then I start realizing that when I see some of these people, they are choosing to do this. They know it, and they are clearly making a choice to continue, because they're literally in a building that is offering you medication that allows you to not have to do it when you leave. It's just a choice once you leave the building, right? So I just want to make sure that's very clear for every addict out there. And it doesn't matter what you're addicted to. They're all the same thing. And I'll always be an addict, and I'm still an addict today, except for I spend most of my time in an addict, taking photos, creating a better tomorrow, putting solar on people's roofs, giving out life-changing opportunities. And I'm addicted to the positivity. I'm addicted to helping other people. So I didn't stop being an addict. You never stop being an addict. You have to properly channel it. You have to have people around you, right? Like me being an addict in sales, I can overdose, right? Easy. I could go so hard that I would burn myself into the ground, right? So I have people in my orbit that will go, hey, we know that you could sell more than it. You don't, we know, everybody knows it's okay, dude. Like, let go. And so I've had to work on that. I've had to dial myself back and be conscious of my battery, because I have to have a battery for my wife and my daughter. So as an addict, I'm always an addict, but I'm in a much better place today because I channel it into the proper arenas, and I have the right circle around me. Right. That we as a batting coach can help other people. Like Kevin Long is not as good a hitter as Derek Jeter is, but he was his batting coach at one time. Sitting this far away, you can see the problem that Derek can't see when he's in the moment. Right? And so I have people like that in my life that coach me, that have helped mentor me get to this point.
I love everything that you just said right there, because it's so super true. And, you know, what I'm getting from this story is we talk about on the show a lot, the agape love is a godly love, a love without any judgment, just loving you for who you are, flaws and all. And that's really one of the most key things. And I also, love how you say, believe what you want to believe, because that is the reality of it, and it's not a belief for you, it's a relationship, which is what it's supposed to be. And now from there, it breaks off into, that's why relationships are so important. You continue to do that, where you have this continuous snowball effect. And now, you're creating, this amazing snowball of positivity, but making sure that you're not completely burning yourself out, because again, sales, and especially if you have any type of addictive personality, sales can be ridiculous, because you're always chasing that next rush, that next high. You're always chasing, the feeling that you get because you outsold everybody. You're always chasing those different feelings. Yep. You've now figured out that feeling is really just one of giving yourself validation. A lot of the high that we chase is, because we could not get the validations from our outside world,
Yeah.
but it's not their responsibility.
Right.
And that is a beautiful part of your story, and I'm loving every minute of this. As you
doing this is hopefully, like you asked me, right? I do these things, so hopefully it does organically lead into not me seeking it out,
right.
but organically lead into somebody coming to me and saying, "Hey, can you come talk to these people?
Right.
Hey, can you come?" And the answer will always be yes to that. It's just that I have so many things to focus on that, I don't have the bandwidth for that, but I offer that all the time. Whether it's when I just sat with a pastor the other night, and he said, "You should talk about that." I said, "If you need me to come and talk to the church, I don't care what denomination it is, because I'm there to help people. If you have a group setting, if you have, I don't care what it is, I'm always open and offering to help." That's why I do these things. Hopefully this leads to helping somebody, or it leads to a relationship that allows me to help somebody, because that's what relationships are for. The more relationships you can make, that's where impact comes from, is how many people do you know, and how many people do they know, and how many people do they know that are in a place that can put you in a place that can impact other people. And so if you keep putting yourself out there, then those will organically come up, and I'll absolutely serve that purpose.
Well, just so you know, you and I will have many conversations outside of this, because I am definitely down and invested into maybe, putting together a TikTok channel for you, dealing with some social media stuff for you, helping you put that message out there, and maybe even one day running your own little podcast, at least a monthly type of thing. I'm totally down for that, because I believe in your message. I believe in you as a human being.
And we all believe in you in WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. As Easy takes his sip of water. Myself, Prestige. James, how do you stay up to date with the product? Because technology is changing back and forth, climate change, weather. What makes you relevant in everything? What makes you relevant and your team relevant in your business?
Yeah. Trinity Solar is a 30-year-old family-owned private company. We are a dinosaur in this game that survived the meteor shower. And so because we survived it, we've been able to change over and over and over again. And and the owners of this company have been doing this for so long before any of these guys in this game ever got into this game, that we can see that the asteroid coming from 5 years from now, and we can get out of the way. Right. And so we're always making changes today to make sure that we're here tomorrow, to make sure that we're here 10 years from now. Right. So a big focus in this company is, energy with integrity. And we do things to be profitable. And everybody would say, well, somebody said to me one day, which I didn't understand, so I don't want to understand, like Kobe Bryant. He said, why does profitability matter? I said, what? Who wakes up in the morning to run a business that's not profitable? If you're not profitable, it means you do bad business. If you do bad business, that means you can't be here tomorrow. And if you sell something to somebody, you're actually ripping them off, because you can't be here to serve them like you said you would. So when we do business at a kitchen table, I am always willing to walk away. Okay. There's a line that I won't cross, because I care about my company and I respect myself, and I know my worth, and I know Trinity's value and their worth. Right. As far as, technology, we still launch solar panels into space on satellites. Okay. The solar panels are still, 95% of the market. The solar roofs and shingles and all this other stuff that's around, these are extremely in a finite stage. They usually don't have a great ROI. I'm not a huge engineer, technology guru. I'm a professional at solar, meaning relationships, sarcasm, and roofing. And then all of those things, I keep them super simple, right? I don't sell technology, and I don't guarantee technology. I guarantee the production of the technology. So when I put up a solar system today, I know that it produces X amount of kilowatts over a 25 to 30 year period. And that is what I am giving to the homeowner. Yes, 10 years from now, there's going to be a 475 watt black on black panel, and you're going to have a 405. But it's going to be more expensive than 10, 15 years from now to get the other one. There may not be a program at no upfront cost like there is today. It may not be one-to-one net metering like California just lost. So we're always watching the market and watching what's going on. Trinity has been doing this for a long time, and so we know all the little ins and outs on how to make ourselves the number one installer here. So just recently, Solar Power World has us ranked as the number 3 solar company in the country. Just for understanding, our footprint is 9 states. The companies we destroy are in 25 to 30 states.
Mm-hmm.
We're installing 80%-ish of our business. They're installing 40 to 50% of their business. Right. Why? Because we're creating relationships and they're doing sales. We have relationships with who we get our panels with. We have relationships with who we get our inverters with. We don't pivot product. Some of these other companies, they sell something, they have a product list. And depending on how bad they can rip the homeowner off with a crappier product, they make more money off of that. That's not allowed here. You can't do that here. Mm-hmm. Right? So we have a whole bunch of things in place to make sure that we are always getting the most up-to-date stuff, right? So every 6 months, 8 months, we're like, okay, now we're using the 410. The 410 black on black. Right now we're at 405, or we'll go to 415. And we keep incrementally moving up, right? But the technology for solar isn't, moving that quick. And you can relate it to, I had an iPhone 8, and then I try to hold on for dear life because I hate the transferring of my stuff. I get an iPhone, I think 13. I got home and realized it's the same exact phone with more circles on the back to take videos.
It's just a little bigger,
Right. So it's not really much different, right?
It is, but just not for something that really affects you. For
right.
Someone like myself, that's constantly trying to create content.
Correct.
With the fact that they can now use these 13s to direct and shoot movies.
Yep.
It advances past what you need. This is what I love about Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee came up with Jeet Kune Do. And it is a style because it is to work with the benefits what benefit you most. Right. You don't need to be that super power lifter. You need to work the muscles that you need to use on an everyday basis.
Right.
So,
it definitely serves the purpose for you, no doubt about it. But overall, for me, who's using it for text messaging, phone calls, apps, that kind of thing, it's the same phone, right? Mm-hmm. So solar doesn't move that quick. When you have a company, I have a Tesla, the car, right? When you have a company that can launch rockets into space and then land them on a moving platform in the ocean, and they can make a car that drives itself and goes 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds, and then they tell everybody about the solar roof and they give them all their money back and close down certain areas, your answer is right there. Mm-hmm. It's right there. The answer's there. It's not where it needs to be. It's not ready yet. When technology gets to where it's supposed to be, every solar company on the planet will switch over to solar shingles and solar roofing.
Right.
We're using the proper equipment for the proper environment, because at this moment in time, at no upfront cost, you can reduce somebody's cost of living for their electricity 30 to 40%, putting an investment account on their house, saving them money over time. And really all that family cares about is the electricity that comes from the technology, not the technology itself. I spend zero time talking about panels and inverters in houses. I'm focused on 3 things. How do I reduce their cost of living? How do I protect their cost of living? And how do we create a better tomorrow that extends non-renewable resources? The way that I do that is by putting black rectangles on your roof and using a ball of fire in the sky. And I keep it that simple. And that's what it is.
And that is 100% what it is. And I love how even in the beginning of the show, you said, both sides are giving the extreme aspect of it and not sitting in the middle ground. So it is super important. And even when you said, you didn't want to understand that person that says, why is profitability a good thing? Their perspective is their perspective. Again, we don't pour salt on anyone else's hustle. Do you be happy?
Yeah. If you want to lose money and be happy, by all means, go for it.
Word. And that's what you need, where you need to hustle. Trust me, I'm feeling that. But it also goes 100% to that whole point of, that extra aspect, where you are going to be. There's a lot of people who are, penny savvy and pound poor, where they're holding on to every single penny, but never ever going to move forward in that aspect, because that's the way they were conditioned. That's the way they were to move forward. And we talk about on the show all the time, Al Pacino. Al Pacino does all these huge, big blockbuster movies. Are they all great? No, but they afford him the ability to do Shakespeare in the Park for free. Why is profitability important? Because unfortunately, we live in a capitalistic society. And if you want to actually make a difference, you want to actually make changes, you've got to make money in it. When we had Chesky on the show and he was talking about the Co-Defendants Project, you know, they had producers that made it more radio friendly so the message could go out further. You know, when you have control of these things, you know, I say the ultimate balance and the perfect system out there, if you have, you know, capitalism without socialism, you have communism. If you have socialism, no, capitalism without socialism, you have fascism. If you have socialism without capitalism, you have communism. Sitting when you have the perfect blend, the yin and the yang, that is where you find your true happiness. And we have gone so far away as a culture for that middle ground. You know, one of my favorite presidents of all time is Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln hired a whole bunch of people that disagree with each other, and they would fight and argue over these, you know, over these points until they came to a middle ground, and that middle ground was beautiful and effective for everyone. And I think with more people hearing your story and hearing how that positivity did change you and move forward, and understanding that you still have a connection with spirituality while you do that, but you're not one of them.
Yeah.
You know, you were, you know, and you own who you are and who you were. I think that is one of the things that's going to help and change moving forward more than anything else. So I know that you want your story to really resonate with the people who've been through the struggle that you went through and still go through every day. But I think you actually have a wider scale, a wider pan on there, you know, where maybe if some of these leaders started to listen to a guy like you, we'd be in a much better spot.
I didn't know that about Abraham Lincoln, but wow, we could really use him today.
Oh yeah. Yeah, sorry. I know a lot of useless information.
No, that's not. That's actually not useless. It's actually the exact problem that we have is that we don't invite disagreement that lands somewhere where we give and take. And the profitability thing allows you, if you make money, you have money, you can utilize your money to free up time so you can have impact, which is what Al Pacino does. He has money, so he can free up his time to do something, and he's making much more impact doing that thing that he's not getting paid for than he is in any of his movies, right? Mm-hmm. That allows him to do it, right? And so when we're profitable, it allows us to run our communities program. So we have a communities program where we partner with nonprofit organizations, and we will then help those homeowners transition to renewable energy. And then we take that money that we make and we funnel some of it back into the nonprofit organization. And then we create a relationship with them. So whenever they need something, if a church comes to me and says, James, I need a bus for after school programs. And I say, okay, how much does that bus cost? It's $26,000. It's $50,000. Okay, cool. We put a plan together for that organization, and we set that goal. And then we go to work. And guess what? I will acquire what you ask for because that's my goal, right? And so we do that with many organizations, whether it's Pink Tie organization who we serve on Long Island, whether it's we did partnerships with the Boys and Girls Scouts of America. We have St. James Church in Stratford. We have a bunch of them, smaller organizations. So profitability allows you the pivoting to other places to help other people. Right.
I love that.
Have anything.
And I don't know. I'm a marketing type of guy, so I'm going to market this term out here because now maybe you and I can sit here and get rid of all the negativeness of the socialism and capitalism aspect, right? Yeah. We'll call it conscious capitalism.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think we'll start printing some shirts. We'll make a movement. It'll be fantastic. Conscious capitalism, where you're able to bring in that money so you can have that impact. It is not about having the biggest house in the history of big houses. It's about having the biggest impact in the history of impacts. You know, we talk about on the show all the time, a human dies 2 deaths. You are building a life of immortality because your story is going to reach beyond. You know, you die when your physical form goes through and when the last person who's ever known your story passes. Those are the 2 deaths you die. You're pushing for a life of immortality because your story is impactful and you're impacting as many people as possible who are going to continue to tell your story. Yeah. That is a beautiful thing and a beautiful way to look at life. And I just want to give you your flowers for that.
I appreciate that. And that's why M is the last part of this shirt, which because money is the last thing that we're focused on here. We focus on integrity. We focus on people. The byproduct is money. And then the money is utilized for consciousness, for support, to help other people. It's not for money. It's not to buy things, right? That's not what our people are being taught here. That's not what the goals are here. The goals are here is have an impact that outlasts your impact. When you're gone, the last solar system that I put up will stay on this planet for 35 to 40 years longer than I will, right? And any person that's heard that story, like you said, will carry that story, and hopefully it'll just keep going down the line, right? And so in this arena, in door to door, I am giving out lottery tickets. Like right before, Preston asked me what's a day in my life like, right? A day in my life is, I'm doing three things. I am managing my team in Connecticut, my main team, which is CT North, and my 25 to 35 people at any given time. I am doing energy consultations, which I'll be doing after this, right? Or I'm meeting at a higher level with my partners, which I'll do after this, where we have a meeting so that we can discuss the only thing that we ever want to talk about, which is how are we going to make our people's lives better? Because if a company focuses on its people, and the better you take care of your people, the better they take care of the homeowners. You show me a sales force and what they do, and I'll show you, if I backtrack to their leadership and what they're taught, they will treat the homeowner as well as they are treated by their leaders in their company. Right. And so each day I'm doing interviews, which I don't call interviews. I call life-changing conversations. I am offering lottery tickets. Knocking doors is obviously extremely challenging. Only 2% of this population can do it. Again, it's a choice if you can do it. It is extremely uncomfortable. You have to go from, it starts off with the first two letters, UN, like this big, and comfortable, like this big. Over time, and you get where I am today, it becomes with the first two letters about this big, and comfortable becomes a lot bigger. It's still uncomfortable, but I've been doing it for so long, actually.
James, one thing that is uncomfortable is we have to end this broadcast. We just want to let everyone know where can we reach you if anyone's interested in building themselves and rebranding themselves with Trinity Solar. Please just give us the ways to contact you before we go off air. Go right ahead.
Yep. You can see me on Facebook. It's under James Altieri, because that was my grandfather's last name, and I put it on there so my past wouldn't come back looking for me. Phone number 203-909-1616. You can reach me on Facebook, though. If you want a life-changing opportunity, hit me up. If you need help with your electric bill, hit me up. If you just want help in life, hit me up. I'm here.
James, I hope it's not the last time we get you on there, man. I think we just got just a little chunk of knowledge just from your cranium, just a little bit of your story. But we appreciate you. Myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, EZ Blues, and is in the building. It's been behind the brand on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Thank you once again.
Great, boys.
Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs through the phone, dreaming of a better home, while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the brujas let this last.
I don't know.